بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. صلى الله وسلم عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله وسلم عليك يا ابن رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة يا كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. سيدي ما خاب من تمسك بكم، أمن من التجأ إلى حصنكم. يا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. طلع من المدينة وروح حمل تهبايا، الله يساعده ويجبر كسر قلبه. عاف حسين جده وأمه الزهراء، ترك خي الحسين ينحب وسط قبره، وراح الكربلاء متروس بالحسرة، وطيبة من بعد عيناه مكتئبة. أخذ كل عيلته وكل أهله والنسوان، وجدت من الهواشم خيرة الشبان، وجدت أم البنين بأربعة فرسان، وابو فاضل تعود لازم الجربة. ابو فاضل جاله والسقي زينه، ضم حسين يبكي ويلثم يدينه، نادى الكربلاء يا عالة مشينا، ذيك تربتي محلاها هالتربة. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. عطروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. زينوها بالثانية. نوروها بالثالثة. The ayah that the true believers are the ones that when Allah is mentioned, they feel fear in their hearts. Their hearts tremble at the mention of Allah Azza wa Jal. And if His ayats, if the Quran is mentioned to them, they become even more believing. They become even more understanding, and they seek sustenance and rely on Allah Azza wa Jal. Believing in Allah is one thing, acknowledging Allah is another. The first step of Iman is believing in Allah. The next step is actually acknowledging that belief. See, in this pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, some people believe that there is a virus that's spreading, but they don't acknowledge it. So they don't take the necessary precautions to prevent themselves from getting infected. So they believe, but they don't acknowledge. It's also the same with Allah Azza wa Jal. Who doesn't believe in Allah? Most people in this world, most unifiers, Christians, Jews, Muslims, they all say they believe in Allah. But who truly acknowledges Allah's existence? What He does, what He acts, it's upon the fact that Allah oversees, Allah knows, and then he does or he acts upon that belief that Allah is actually watching over him. See, Muawiyah, he used to say that, I hope that God forgives me. So they told Imam Ali salamullah alayh that, Muawiyah, although he sins, although he commits fisq, but he hopes that God, due to His unlimited mercy, will one day forgive him. So Imam Ali responded and said, فَهَلَّا بَانَ أَمَلُهُ فِي عَمَلِهِ. Why does this hope not manifest in how he acts? I mean, you're hoping for something. There must be some reason for you to hope for that. For example, I hope that if the Bitcoin rises, I'll become a billionaire. I hope. Someone will come and ask me, did you invest in Bitcoin? I say, no, I didn't invest. So why are you hoping? What's there to hope, even if it becomes $1 billion? You have not invested to be hoping for something. If you invest with God in a good deed, then you can hope and rely on God's mercy for Him to accept that good deed. And on God's mercy, because you stopped for God's sake on committing a sin, for God's mercy to accept this act that you prevented yourself from sinning, respecting God, respecting Him that He oversees you, then you can say, I hope that God forgives me. I hope to enter heaven. This hope must be founded on something. But relying on God, on Allah Azza wa Jal, is the characteristics of every mu'min. We believe that Allah is Hayy and He is Al-Qayyum. Ayatul Kursi is a very important ayah. And we are encouraged to read it day and night after every salat. Allah Azza wa Jal tells the Prophet that whoever reads Ayatul Kursi, recites Ayatul Kursi after every salat, the only thing preventing him from entering heaven is death. So it's only death that prevents him from entering heaven. If he dies, he'll go to heaven straight away. And then Allah Azza wa Jal states, after he told the Prophet this, he states in the Hadith al-Qudsi that I don't give the opportunity, the chance for anyone to do this, the tawfiq, the providence for anyone to do this, to have tawfiq to read Ayatul Kursi after every salah, except if he was a prophet or a successor of a prophet or a siddiq or a slave that I have accepted. So try your best to read Ayatul Kursi. Now Ayatul Kursi states at the start, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayy al-qayyum. The living, the qayyum, the sustainer, the caretaker of this world. Lahu ma fi samawati wal ard. This whole creation is his. He sustains it. It's under his control. This concept of knowing Allah Azza wa Jal as being the true sustainer of this creation is very important. It's the catalyst and the true motivator for us to go forward. See, people that don't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal lack this concept. So instead, especially the Western civilization, alhamdulillah, yarhamkumullah, they came up with a new concept. It's called believing in yourself. You know, because if you don't have anything to rely on to go forward in this life, to motivate you, any small hardships you face, you might reach instant depression because there's nothing that motivates you to go forward. So they brought this concept called believe in yourself, you know. You can do it. So if you face a hardship, you say, okay, let me believe in myself and just continue going forward. You know, I've lost all my money, I'll try again. Invest again, work harder. In Islam, we don't need this concept because we have a better and more truthful concept. The concept of tawakkul ala Allah, relying on Allah Azza wa Jal. Why do we need to rely on ourselves when we have a God and Allah that's all powerful, all merciful, all giving, Jawad, generous? Why do you rely on yourself, your limitless self, when you have Allah Azza wa Jal? You're limited with your physical abilities, with your mental abilities. Your mental abilities, go see anyone that visits a mental institution, he can see how the brain can play games on oneself. Your brain will start playing games on you. So why do you rely on yourself? If you talk about physical reliance, you're limited in your power. Also, your body sometimes attacks itself. Look into the diseases, the autoimmune disorder diseases. Cancer. It's when the body starts rebelling against itself. What self are we talking about? The Imam says, Man wathaqa binafsihi khanathu. Whoever relies and depends on himself, it will betray him one day. We don't need this reliance. We have Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah is limitless. Man arada an yakuna aqwa an-nas falyatawakkal ala Allah. Whoever wants to be the most powerful of people, let him rely on Allah Azza wa Jal. When Allah takes you back, who can take you on? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting with a Jew speaking to him, and he said, I was born an orphan. And usually orphans don't have like fathers that go and fight for them if they are oppressed or something. He said, I was born an orphan in a poor family. Abu Talib salamullah alayhi was poor, one of the poorest. There was no poor leader that actually led his people other than Abu Talib in the old history of Arabs. ما ساد فقير في قومه إلا أبو طالب. Abu Talib was poor. He said, I was born an orphan in a poor family. Weak in the sense that you understand weakness. But then God made my religion prevail. He made Islam prevail with all the oppressions that we faced. Because God, the Prophet is saying to the Jew, because God wanted to show the Arabs, the Jews, the Christians, that all your power, all your might, all your wealth will not stop what God decrees. يريدون أن يطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره. I was in the Mashaya in Karbala. May God bless us and all of you that are present and all the Shia to be blessed with going to Karbala this year, Mashaya. And I entered a restroom and it was very dirty. With, they made it up of mud and bricks. And I said, if God was to provide Shia with wealth, we would have built, 5-star hotels in all this road, spreading on all this long road to Karbala. Then I thought to myself, God doesn't need that. God doesn't want His religion to prevail with the worldly wealth. God doesn't need this. God needs people that are wealthy inside from within to be the foundation of His religion. That have ghina nafs. People that believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and don't back down, whatever might happen, whatever hardships they face. Imam Ali Salamullah alayh, the Amir, the Prince of all believers, Amir al-Mu'mineen, at Laylat al-Mabit, the day that the Prophet asked him, he said, Ya Ali, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. إن الله ابتلاك وابتلاني فيك. God has tested you and tested me by you. Like He tested Ibrahim with his son Ismail when Ibrahim told his son, إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك. I see a dream that I'm slaughtering you. And God has asked me to tell you to sleep in my bed, to act as a decoy so that I can go to Medina, migrate to Medina safely. So what do you say? So Imam Ali looked at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi and said, Ya Rasulullah, awa taslam ant? Will you be safe? The Prophet said, yes, I will. So then Imam Ali salamullah alayhi prostrated, he did sujood. Shukran lillah. Thanking as a gratitude, as a form of gratitude to Allah. And then he said, Ya Rasulullah, idhab fidak. Nafsi wa ruhi wa suwayda qalbi. Go. I'd be happy to be a sacrifice for you. He slept that night. You all know the story. God prevented the kuffar from killing Imam Ali. They wanted to kill him while he was sleeping. But then they thought, let him see, or let us see the fear in his eyes when we all attack him. So when they took the cover, the blanket, they uncovered Imam Ali, and that they saw it wasn't the Prophet that was sleeping in the bed, they stopped. Imam Ali, at 3 days after that, was asked by Rasulullah. Rasulullah sent him a message, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, that come, join me in Qiba. So Imam Ali went on a mountain in Mecca, and he was the first person to migrate from Mecca to Medina publicly. Because the Prophet was because of his honesty, people trusted him, and at that time there were no banks, nowhere you could store your valuables where you can feel they were safe. So the Prophet, because of his honesty, people would bring their valuables, their gold, their necklaces, and give it to the Prophet and tell him, after a few days we'll come and collect them. Especially people that visited Mecca from far away, that didn't have homes in Mecca. So the Prophet had lots of these amanat, these valuables that people entrusted to him. So he told Imam Ali, give them back. So Imam Ali went publicly on a mountain in Mecca, and he cried out, "O people of Mecca, whoever has any valuables, anything he gave to the Prophet, he has entrusted it to me. Let him come forward, and I will give it back to him. And know that I will be migrating to Medina. So hurry up. I will be migrating to Medina with the Fatimiyat, with the Fawatim, Fatima bint Asad, his mother, Fatima bint Zubair, his cousin, and Fatima al-Zahra, salamullah alayha, his future wife. I'll be migrating with the Fatimiyat to Medina." Abu Sufyan, when he saw Imam Ali going on the mountain publicly announcing that he will travel to Medina, he saw that this is a form of encouragement to the mu'mins or the Muslims that were of lesser standard, that didn't have a backing, didn't have a tribe that backs him up. So although Ali is from Bani Hashim, from the leaders of Quraysh, he decided that Imam Ali must be stopped, whatever the cost. And he sent 8 men with one of his strongest slaves, Janah, to go and stop Imam Ali. Imam Ali was migrating. He had Ayman and Ayman, her son. They were with him, accompanying Imam Ali salamullah alayh to Medina. And Ayman was the one dragging the camels. So he had the reins of the camels and he was dragging very swiftly, quickly. He wanted to reach Medina as fast as he could. And when you drag the camel and you make him, start running instead of walking, you hurt the people that are sitting on the camel's back. So the Imam Ali told him, "What's with you? Take it easy. Walk slowly." He said, "I am scared that whoever's running after us will reach us, and I know they have sent some money on it to stop us." So Imam Ali said, "Give me the reins." And he took the reins. And he started reciting this poem. He said, "ليس إلا الله فارفع ظنك يكفيك رب الكون ما أهمك." There is nothing but God. We are under God's protection. ليس إلا الله فارفع ظنك. Have faith. يكفيك رب الكون ما أهمك. Anything that concerns you, God will take care of it. Allah will take care of it. Rely on Allah Azza wa Jal. Have faith in Allah. Why are you scared? Having faith in Allah is the most important step after believing in Allah. Acknowledging that Allah is there for you anytime you need. But not only when you need Him. When you acknowledge that He's there, your acts show that you are realizing He's there, He's overseeing you. Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi صلى على محمد وعلى محمد. Once met a Bedouin, and the Bedouin asked him for some money, some aid. So Imam Hussein said, "My grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi has said that al-ma'ruf is ala qadr al-ma'rifa." Charity, how much I give charity, how much I give you aid and money, depends on how much knowledge you have. You have more knowledge, I give you more. If you don't, I give you what is, enough for me not to reject you. So he said, "Yabna Rasulullah, you ask me? I'm a Bedouin. And you are the source of all knowledge. What can I contribute to your knowledge?" Brothers and sisters, our brothers are asking for qiyam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rahimallah man dhakara al-qa'ima min Ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters. While performing qiyam, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على الثاني يرحمكم الله. الثالثة على حب الحسن والحسين. So the Bedouin, see, that shows the Bedouin had knowledge. That's why Imam Hussein was asking. The Bedouin said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, ask away. La quwwata illa billah. Straight away he relied on God. He said, you know, what can I do? But la quwwata illa billah. May God provide me with assistance. So Imam Hussein told him, Ma afdalul a'mal. What is the best of deeds? So the Bedouin said, Al-Imanu billah. Having faith in Allah. Believing in Allah. So then the Imam said, وَمَا النَّجَاةُ مِنَ الْمَهْلَكَةِ. And what stops a man from total devastation? He said, الثقة بالله. Putting your trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. So then the Imam said, ما يزين الرجل. What makes a believer, a man, beautiful? What characteristics make him beautiful? He said, علم مع حلم. Knowledge with tolerance. See, some people are knowledgeable, but they don't have tolerance. If someone comes and asks them a question, they can't speak easily, give him the knowledge slowly. It's like they are fighting in a battle and trying to push and punch the knowledge inside the guy's head. So he said, knowledge with tolerance. He said, فَإِنْ أَخْطَأَهُ ذَلِكَ. Imam Hussein said, if that wasn't given to him, he said, مَالٌ مَعَهُ مُرُوءَةٌ. Wealth with chivalry. So he's wealthy, but he has chivalry. If someone comes and asks him for help, he will aid. He's chivalrous. He said, if he wasn't that, if he didn't get that, he said, فَإِنْ أَخْطَأَهُ ذَلِكَ. If that characteristics missed him, he said, فَقْرٌ مَعَ صَبْرٍ. Patience, poverty, but with patience. Even if he's poor, he's patient. He awaits God's mercy. He said, Imam Hussein then said, فَإِنْ أَخْطَأَهُ ذَلِكَ. If he wasn't provided with that. So then the Bedouin said, may a lightning strike come and burn him down because he deserves it. You know, if he didn't have these three options, what has he left to live for? So the Imam smiled and he gave him 1,000 dirhams and his blessed ring. Here the Arabi, we can learn a lesson from the Arabi. First, he did tawakkul ala Allah. When he had no knowledge, he relied on Allah to give him knowledge. Al-ilmu nurun yaqdifuhu Allah fi qalbi man yasha. Knowledge is a form of light that God bestows on whoever He wishes. Everything is dependent on Allah Azza wa Jal. The ayah al-mubarakah, when the Prophet used to read this ayah al-mubarakah, the ayat, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. A being and how God and that who created it. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. God inspired everyone with that which is good and with that which is bad. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. He will get success that which purifies himself. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. And the person that does not purify himself will fail. When the Prophet used to read this ayat, it's talking about purifying one's self. Very understandable. The Prophet used to read this brief dua after this ayat. He would say, Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha. He would go back on relying on Allah. Oh God, bestow myself the taqwa. وَزَكِّهَا. Purify it. I ask you for purification. أَنْتَ خَيْرُ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. You are the best that can perform this purification. أنت, because why? أنت سيدها ومولاها. You are the master of me. I rely on you for this purification. I ask you for assistance. This acknowledgement, this reliance on God, if someone understands this concept, all his acts will start being upon that belief. For example, the act of nafaqah, of giving, of contributing, of donating. Allah Azza wa Jal says, whoever gains his money from halal and gives it to halal, whether it's sadaqah, whether it's contributing to this Husayniyah or any Husayniyah, anything that's in the cause of God, in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, then God will surely replenish that amount that you give, and He will multiply it. Not only replenish, but multiply. That's why we have in the hadith, من أيقن بالخلف سخت نفسه بالنفقة. Whoever has faith and yaqeen that God will replenish what he gives in the cause of Allah, he will become generous in giving away. Because he knows that Allah will give it back to him. So why not get free thawab? You know, you pay 100 and you know it will come back to you, and you're getting the thawab and the blessing of that 100 that you gave, whether it's pound, dollars, whatever currency it is. من أيقن بالخلف سخت نفسه بالنفقة. Also, for example, going to get married. See, people when they want to get married, they say, okay, it's too early. I still haven't built myself up. I need to, have a decent job, some money, maybe buy a car, do that, do this. If a person, I'll give you an example of trusting Allah. If a person has a wealthy father and the father tells him, son, I want you to get married. Go get married. And whatever happens, whatever the cost, the dowry, the wedding cost, I'll take care of it. The guy would say, okay, so who should I marry? He said, okay, just get married, for example, for such and such girl. These certain conditions that the girl has to meet. Mu'mina, for example, or whatever his dad tells him. He would go, and he wouldn't have a fee in his life of how much the cost would be, where to reserve a hall, where would the venue be, how much her father will ask for dowry, because he knows that his father, that has so and such money, has promised that he will take care of everything. So he will go confidently to ask for any girl that meets his dad's conditions. He will go and ask her hand, and he wouldn't have any worries of what the guy or the girl would ask for. The irony is, God did say this, that He will take care of the person that gets married to the girl that has deen. Not for her beauty, not for her wealth, but for her deen. If you go and find a suitable partner, a mu'mina that has deen, then God will take care of all the costs. You say, when? How? Take a loan, pay, and God will pay you back. Make sure of that, believe it. Have a trust in God Azza wa Jal. Make that leap of faith. See, some people say, God, give me and I will give. That's not faith in Allah. That's faith in money, in what you have in your hand. The faith in Allah is what the hadith states. كن بما في يد الله أوثق مما في يدك. Believe in that which is in God's hand more than in that which is in your hand. That's what faith in Allah and trust in Allah means. And God has everything in His hand. So why do you fear? When you have this belief in Allah, you're the strongest of all. You're the wealthiest of all. Because you have the limitless backing you up. Ahl al-Bayt had this faith in Allah. Even in the face of tragedies, calamities, they would face them with confidence. Imam Hussein Salamullah alayhi in Karbala, when he was fighting, one of the enemies said, ما رأيت مكثورا قد قتل أهل بيته وولده أشد بأسا منه. I have not seen someone that had so many family members killed and he has lost so much, having more ba's, more strength, more confidence than Imam Hussein Salamullah alayhi. Every time one of his family members would fall, he would say, هَوَّنَا مَا نَزَلَ بِي أَنَّهُ بِعَيْنِ اللَّهِ. I take light what has befell me because it is in the eye of Allah Azza wa Jal. When he had the intention to leave Medina, Salamullahi alayhi, to go to Karbala, he came to the Prophet's grave. Bidding farewell to the Prophet is very hard on Imam Hussein. He fell on the grave. The hadith states that the Imam fell on his grandfather's grave and he started crying loudly. And he said, "Oh Rasulullah, I am Hussein, the son of Fatima. Farkhuka wa ibn farkhatik. I'm your little Hussein, Ya Rasulullah, the same Hussein that you used to carry on your shoulders. The same Hussein that he used to climb on your back while you're praying and you didn't get up from your sujood so that I wouldn't fall down. I'm the same Hussein, Ya Rasulullah. This world has shown me so many tragedies. Yazid has become a Khalif. They want to kill your only remaining grandson, Ya Rasulullah." While he was weeping, while he was crying, he slept. He slept and he saw in a dream the Holy Prophet coming down quickly from the heavens. He came down and he was running towards Imam Hussein. He took him in his embrace and he said, "Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, Nur Aini, Ya Hussein, ولدي ما أشوقني إليك. Oh Hussein, how I long to see you." Imam Hussein said, "Ya Rasulullah, I have lost all patience. Embrace me in your grave." Rasulullah said, "Ya Hussein, your destiny is in Karbala, and I've been foretold that you will die there. You will be slaughtered while thirsty, shouting, وحق جدي أنا عطشان، وحق أمي فاطمة أنا ضمان، ضمني عندك يا جداه في هذا الضرر، علني يا جد من بلوى زماني أستريح، ضاق بي يا جد من فرط الأسى كله فسيح، فعسى طود الأسى يندك بين الدكتين. He called upon his family on the day he was to journey from Medina. Hani, his auntie, Imam Ali's sister, they came to her, they said, Hani, Hussein wants to leave Medina. She was a disabled woman, and she told her Jariya, one of the girls surrounding her, taking care of her, she said, help me up. She helped her, she went to where Imam Hussein was. Imam Hussein saw his auntie coming while being aided by one of her caretakers. He came and said, Auntie, why did you come? I will come to your door, bid you farewell. She started crying and she said, why shouldn't I be here, coming to bid you farewell, when I heard that the caretaker of the widowers and orphans is leaving Medina. He called upon his ladies. He sent Ali and Al-Akbar to call his aunt Zainab. Ali and Al-Akbar came to his auntie Zainab. Let's go, everything is ready. We want to go to Karbala. Zainab al-Kubra said, no, I won't get up. I want to go only in the company of my kafil, of my caretaker. Abbas came to Zainab. Oh sister, oh Zainab, come to Karbala. I am here to take care of you. I'll be here for you, Zainab, to the rest of the journey. Lakin, oh Abbas, where were you when Shimr ibn Dhul Jawshan was hitting your sister Zainab with his whips? Oh Abbas, where were you when Lady Ruqayya was shackled with her chain? يا خويا لا تقول ما عندك مروة، ولا تقول ضيعت القوة. أنا ماشي يا حسين قوة، شوف الشمر بي سوا. أيوا زينب وسيدته صوت على متوني تلاوة. أو خي ذاب القلب من فرط الغلا، وعلي حرمت المسرة والهنا. فأجابها من فوق شاهقة القنايا، زينب قضي القضاء بما جرى، فاسترجعي، إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون، والعاقبة للمتقين.